Hi all you lovely people and welcome back to my channel. As you know, I've been on a slight bit of a hiatus there because I had some family stuff come up and kind of took a trip down the rabbit hole. So yeah, that's been super fun. Still kind of dealing with that. So I haven't been making videos, but I wanted to pop back on here because I didn't want to get too out of the loop. And I'm actually feeling kind of more like talking about things now. So I'm going to explain a little bit what's going on and why I haven't been here. As some of you know, I come from two people who shouldn't have been parents, really. One of them wasn't that emotionally stable and should maybe have considered that before thinking about having kids because she was lonely. And the other one is my dad, who never really wanted children in the first place. So it's actually my dad that's caused this bit of a disturbance in my existence. Because after 16 years of really not talking, he's kind of back, and it's sort of with bad news, because it seems he's got a terminal liver cancer issue or something of that nature, and he comes back with a kind of an expiry date, and it's kind of a difficult situation for me, because we haven't spoken in 16 years, we didn't really leave on the best of terms, and so it's bit conflicting for me as to this whole scenario. The Reader's Digest really super duper condensed version of what happened is after my parents got divorced, my father, after a few years, found a woman he liked and decided to get remarried. And she decided my brother and I didn't really need to be part of my dad's life. She wasn't exactly the nicest person in the world to us. I particularly felt it was because I was, or kind of am still, a spitting image of my mother. For better or for worse, it's fact. You look at me, you can see my mother. And she didn't really like that. So she kicked me out at 21 and told me I was no longer allowed in the house. I had to sort of fend for myself at that point because I didn't really have a lot to go with. But I made it, and I'm here, and everything's fine. So, it's been about 16 years that since I've seen my father, or even spoken to him, the last conversation we kind of had was at his work, where he told me I wasn't allowed to come to the house, or call the house, but if I wanted to, I could come down here come down to his work after calling, let him know I was coming, and he would meet me outside the gates, and I could stand with him while I had a smoke. And I decided that was nonsense. My father raised me to be no man's dirty little secret, and I wasn't about to start for him. So I let him know that, and probably not as poetic a way, but in my own way. And we parted ways, and he went on to live his life, I went on to live mine. As a little bit of Facebook snooping turns out, he went on to live his so much that he remarried the woman he married that didn't like us, just so they could have wedding photos that didn't have my brother and I in them. So that's a bit of background, and I'm trying to condense it all so the anger doesn't boil up and go crazy. But that's kind of the history behind my dad. My dad never really wanted children. He did the best he could, kept us alive until we could take care of ourselves. After they divorced, he went his way, she went hers, we went with her, which is standard in even today's day and age, really. Let alone back in the 90s when it happened to me. So, yeah, we didn't really part very well. And we didn't speak or seek each other out for 16 years. And then my brother got contacted by my dad's wife's niece, which is, I know, confusing, but stay with me here. My dad's wife's niece contacted my brother, and told him that my dad was in the hospital, didn't have much time left to live, it was terminal liver cancer, and he was well past the point of treatment or anything like that. He had about sometime between now and 12 weeks to die. So that kind of came out of nowhere and kind of hit us really good. And I went straight down the rabbit hole with that because that's a lot to deal with out of nowhere on a Friday. So it's been a very conflicting thing. My brother has gone to visit him a couple of times. There's, to the best of my knowledge, been no communication about me, how I'm dealing with this, how I'm doing. As far as I know, my father hasn't asked about me or asked to see me in any way. as far as I can tell from the situation where we were kind of contacted by the sources that we were, I don't think my father ever intended for my brother and I to find this out. So it's been very conflicting because I'm trying to be supportive of my brother and his way of grieving and that kind of thing, and still trying to deal with my own things, which is difficult because when you explain to people, you know, you need some time because my father's dying and that kind of thing. Oh my God, have you seen him? How's it going? Da, da, da. No, I'm not going to see him. Well, he's the only father. You don't know. And kind of the video that I wanted to do today was kind of around that, is when somebody tells you someone is dying, don't tell them how to grieve. Don't tell them what they need to do. Just be supportive. Listen to them. You can give suggestions if they ask you for it, but you don't know the situation, don't give advice. For all you know, the dying person could have been abusive, or it could have been a situation like mine where there's abandonment issues and things like that. It's not as easy as your parent is dying. You need to do this. This is what you do. This is your checklist when your parent dies. There is no right or wrong way to grieve. And luckily, I have an amazing support system to support me. I'm dealing with this in the best way that I can. I've made my decisions on where I stand on this, and I've decided that I don't personally need to visit and have that closure. I accepted the loss of my father quite a while ago. And when I rationally think about it, even if I go down there and, you know, we hash everything out and I, best case scenario, get that after school special moment where my father's super apologetic for everything and we make up and everything is all like Hallmark and beautiful, I still lose them in the end. And it's a lose-lose situation. So personally, I've decided that I will not be going down. I will not be contacting unless there's a drastic change. If my father asks for me, I will put some more thought into that. I don't see that happening. I really don't. There's been no indication made to me at all that I've even been mentioned or I'm a concern in any way. I have to take care of me. It does me no good mentally or emotionally to reconnect and then lose that again in a couple of weeks. I am at peace with this. This man has chosen his life. These were his decisions. He decided that we weren't part of that and he moved on. And that's fine. I wish him a quick and peaceful passing with his loved ones, which I am clearly not one of. I hold no resentment. I'm trying really hard not to be angry with the situation, because there is still a lot of that, but that's for me, my support system, my therapist, all this stuff to deal with. That is not something that's going to help his recovery or passing in any way. It's not really going to help me to have that dramatic blowout. It's not something I need. I'm a very undramatic person. I'm a very centered, balanced person, and I'm a very rational person. So there have been moments that are pure emotion in this thing, which, as you know, dealing with the parents passing, it's normal, natural to deal with. But as somebody who's very analytical and rational about things, that's the part I'm having trouble kind of getting my head around. And normally I'm okay, but sometimes I have, you know, anger about it, which is normal. I find myself crying over stupid shit like gardening shows because I'm sad. Because it is still my dad, and that does kind of suck. It sucks that we've had the journey that we've had, but it is the journey that we've had, and being delusional about it isn't going to make any difference in that regard. So, yeah, it's the reason I haven't been here is I've been dealing with all of that and trying to put everything in its place with that. I do feel a lot better about it. I really do appreciate everyone who's been really supportive of me in this and stood by me through all of this. Next week we will have a much more pleasant video. But I really wanted to take a moment and kind of explain why I haven't been here. And kind of just give a quick, gentle reminder to people. There is no right way to grieve in a death or a passing. There really isn't. It's not a checklist of things you have to do. There's not a proper way to grieve. If somebody deals with grief and things like that through dark humor and making jokes, that's totally fine. If somebody wants to be kept alone and deal with their shit and then come out and talk to people, totally fine. You can't tell someone how to grieve. All you can do is be there for them, be supportive, and luckily my friends are very, very good about that. The family I have chosen, I am very, very lucky to have. So while I may not have come from two people who should have been parents, I have indeed built myself a family that loves me and supports me no matter what. And I love and support them for that and for everything. I've let my brother know that whatever he needs in this situation, be it me talking or listening or going to a funeral or whatever, I'm there for him. But this, in my mind, doesn't really have a lot to do with me. And I know there are some people who are going to disagree with that, and I'm sure when he actually passes, it is going to be a sad thing for me. It is still the loss of a parent. But when you have a plane crash or something like that, the first thing they do is tell you to put your own mask on first before you help anyone else. And that's where I'm at this point. I'm secure in my mask for this impact because it is coming, it is going to happen, and I am going to have to deal with it. Luckily, I've got all kinds of people to help me, and I've got my mask on solid. I'm at peace with where I am. So, yeah. If you have somebody going through something like that, or if you are somebody going through something like that and you want to talk about it, you can PM me, you can message me down below and tell me how to contact you, and I'll do that. But just be kind to each other. Don't dictate how somebody goes through that process. It's different for everyone. Everyone's story is different. But be there when somebody needs you, and give them the space when they don't. And it's totally okay either way. But yeah, death's a part of life, so you kind of have to deal with that from time to time. Be mindful of what you say to people in those situations, because, again, everything's different. Next week, we'll be back with a new video, and it's going to be super, super exciting, and I don't really know what its topic is yet, but I'm sure it'll come to me, and it'll be awesome. I'm going to try and make it a lot more positive than, you know, death and dying and all that good jazz on a Sunday. People who go to church get enough of fire and brimstone. They don't need my help. Yeah, so if you like these videos and you want to keep up to date on them, you can hit subscribe down there somewhere. It's probably like right about there. And there's a bell next to that subscribe button. You can hit that. That'll keep you up to date when I put out new videos. If you like this video, you can always hit like. If you've been through something like this yourself, or you have a thought on this topic, you can message me in the comments down below. I read those often, and I look forward to talking to you guys. But until next week, see y'all later.